Another edition of the Trans-Tasmanian rivalry is upon us as Australia take on New Zealand. Match number 37 at Lord's, a top of the table clash in the World Cup. And we've got just the right people to talk about it as we're previewing that massive encounter in the World Cup. Joining us in studio is Michael Hussey. As always, sir, it's a pleasure to have you with us. And also joining us from the by-lanes of Mumbai, all the way from New Zealand, come into Mumbai and then join us on Skype. Dan Vettori, good to see you, sir.
Hey guys, how's it going?
All good, Dan. Just tell us, before we go into, of course, discussing this game, any memories from this rivalry for you that come to mind?
Probably the last World Cup. I mean, there were two big matches. The first one at Eden Park were a low-scoring game, and then obviously the final where Australia dominated. So I think over the course of how many World Cups there's been, New Zealand-Australia game has always been a huge rivalry.
So, Mike, of course, Australia-England is one rivalry. How different is it when Australia and New Zealand take to the field?
Well, it is a different rivalry, but it's a big rivalry nonetheless. Always a great contest between Australia and New Zealand. One game that really stood out to me in the 2015 World Cup was a really low-scoring game in Auckland, where so close all the way through, and Kane Williamson ended up hitting the winning runs and winning the game for New Zealand. But I just love those close, tight contests all the way. The crowd was going nuts. Really stood out to me. A great wake-up call maybe for Australia in that tournament. But it's always a great contest. I feel as though New Zealand always raise their game a little bit when they're playing against Australia. So we always expect a tough contest. Right,
let's get to the game then. Dan, I'll start with you. All things New Zealand. The million-dollar question really for you. Are there any changes to your playing 11?
Well, if you've been reading the papers back home, that's all anyone's talked about as well. It's been, will New Zealand make some changes? They've talked about whether possibly missed a trick by not playing Sodhi in the last game, and also the question marks around the openers. So I think those things will come into play again in this match. I think it'll be wicket dependent. I presume that the Lord's wicket will be pretty good. We saw England play two spinners in the last game. I still think New Zealand will probably go on with a seam-based attack and maybe look to bring Nicholls in for Munro at the top of the order, although Gary Stead has already come out and backed the under-fire openers in Guptill and Munro. But if we're ever going to see a change at the top of the order, then I presume Nicholls may come in for this game. But I think what New Zealand's banking on is the fact that they're playing such good cricket up until the last game against Pakistan. And that's the nature of tournament play, where it's going to be difficult to win all your games. New Zealand will stay calm. I think everyone else will do the panicking for them, and they'll be ready for this game. And obviously, it's such an important game in the context of the tournament.
Dan, you touched upon the Lord's wicket and also how it might assist the spinners a little bit. We'll show you a couple of numbers now as far as Santner and Sodhi are concerned, because Santner, while he's looked extremely good at being economical in this World Cup, he hasn't picked up too many wickets in ODI since 2018. Mitchell Santner 12 wickets in 19 innings, and for Sodhi 12 innings and 20 wickets. So you reckon if you get someone like an Sodhi in, you could have one guy who's getting you wickets as well?
Well, I think once again, it just depends on that pitch. I think what they like about Santner so much is that control that he offers, and that's probably something that Australia haven't had in their own lineup around the spin bowling option. So Santner will be first and foremost, and then they'll make a call around Sodhi and Henry, because they still have Ferguson as that attacking weapon. I think they like to have that control the whole way through. If they've got Sodhi as well as Ferguson, who can be a little bit expensive, that's something that they tend to avoid. Kane likes that control and the understanding of who can control the game at certain times, particularly against a really aggressive Australian batting order. So I actually would be surprised if Sodhi came into it because of generally the way that Lord's plays. But they will look at him at some stage if they find a wicket that really suits him.
Same question to you now, Mike. Of course, if you look at Australia's bowling lineup, everything looks good as far as the pace attack. Behrendorff is coming good, Stark is coming good, Cummins is coming good. But then comes the spin bowling combination, or should I say the spin column, because if you look at the spin column, not too many wickets. Zampa hasn't been amongst the wickets. Lyon, of course, bowled well in the last game. He was economical and extremely good. Poorest economy by a spin unit. Australia 79 over 6 wickets. And that economy is touching close to 7 strike rate at 79. You reckon if you want to be a world champion side, that is the missing piece in the puzzle?
Yeah, I think you're right. and you've got to remember that Lions only played one of those matches. So you'd have to say that Zampa has been a bit disappointing. I still think there'll be discussions about whether he comes back, because I think the main batsmen in the New Zealand batting order are more right-handers, and he'll be turning away from them. But Lyon, I still think, like Santner, offers control, and he's so accurate, and he can just hold down an end if the conditions suit as well. So I'd be very surprised if they made a change there. I personally would stick with Nathan Lyon. I think he can do a really good job. I think Lords, when there was a bit of overcast conditions and a bit of grass on the pitch, it actually really suited this Australian attack. If it's similar conditions, I don't think the Australians will be looking to change anything at all. But if it's a blazing sunshine, the pitch is really flat and it doesn't swing as much, then I think it does bring New Zealand back into the game a little bit, because it won't help the likes of Berendorf and Stark swing the ball so prodigiously.
You're playing 11. Are you changing anything then?
No, I'm not going to change anything. I'm going to keep it the same. Berendorf was outstanding, picking up 5 wickets, swinging that new ball. I liked him taking the new ball as well and bringing, say, a Pat Cummins in first change. It sort of offers a bit more sort of strength in that first change bowling when opposition teams are looking to get going a bit. The batters not looking to change anything there. I just think there'll be discussions over Lyon versus Zampa, but for me personally, I'd stick with Nathan Lyon. I think he'll do a great job.
Dan, a word on New Zealand's batting now. Of course, all the focus has been on Kane Williamson. Ross Taylor has also come good in the tournament, but the opening combination, and in particular Martin Guptill, he's just too good a player in world cricket, because when he gets going, Dan, there's no other player better to watch than Martin Guptill. But you suppose consistency has been his biggest bane, and that's come through in this tournament as well.
Yeah, look, I think Martin Guptill's played 170 odd one-day internationals, and during that time he's been exceptional, and he's scored a lot of runs. He's one of our highest run scorers ever, and I suppose the New Zealand team will look at it from the perspective that the more often he misses out, the more chance he actually has to come good. And in these next 2 games, plus hopefully a semi-final and final, if he can perform in any one of those 4 games, then it could be the difference between them winning and not. So they're not going to back down on their support from him. I think they really trust him. They love how hard he works in the field. He offers so much in a leadership role as well. So I expect they will have full confidence in him to come good at some stage. Munro is the other one where I think Nicholls will put him under pressure, mainly because Nicholls was starting to become the incumbent before he got injured. So look to Guptill to have a strong performance in this game. He's played Stark and Berendorf a lot in his career. Munro versus Nicholls will be the one that they'll talk about a lot, I think.
Same question for you now, Michael, especially if you talk about the Aussie top order. It would be a bit of an understatement that the Aussie top order has come good. They've been amazing in this tournament, but then after that, you reckon there's a bit of a question mark, the middle order, because if Finch and Warner don't fire, then what?
Yeah, well, I think that's the big question mark for Australia. They've been so reliant on Finch and Warner, who have been just doing the job game in, game out. It's been unbelievable, their consistency, especially the way they play. They're generally quite attacking players. I still think there's enough quality there. Khawaja's had one good knock in the tournament. Steve Smith at number 4. There's been talk about should he be batting number 3, possibly. He's such a class player, and you want to get him in there as early as possible, give him the opportunity to bat quite deep. But then it's sort of, I don't know, and I think Maxwell's got that X factor. So if he can come in a little bit later and just play with that freedom, he can really take the game away from the opposition. And Stoinis is the one that we haven't really seen the best of just yet. We know he can do it, much like Martin Guptill. I think they'll just keep backing him, knowing that he's going to come good at some stage. He's going to play a match-winning knock. So I'm not actually that worried about the Australian batting and the middle order. I'll tell you what I am looking forward to, though, is the new ball battle with Trent Boult versus David Warner and Aaron Finch, because New Zealand will know if they can pick up early wickets, then they can put some pressure on Australia. And I know Boult will be coming really hard. And Warner, with the ball just swinging away, can be susceptible. And certainly Finch, with the ball swinging back in towards the pads, looking for LBWs and bowls, can be susceptible as well.
Dan, final word on the show with you. How do you see this one going? What is key for New Zealand if they are to walk away with a win versus Australia?
I think it is runs up front because they are coming up against Stark and Berendorf, who bowled so exceptionally well in the last game, and let's not forget about Cummins and how well he's done for Australia for a long period of time. So I think if that opening partnership can take the pressure off Williamson and Taylor, get them off to a good start, then you can rely on that usual partnership with Taylor and Williamson through those middle orders to bank up some big runs. But if Guptill gets going, that could be the real difference maker for New Zealand in this game.
Mike, same question for you. From an Aussie point of view, what's key if you are to beat New Zealand?
Well, I think a good start with the bat once again. Once they set that platform with the openers, then they generally go on and get a big score. And then the one question that probably every dressing room is talking about is how to get Kane Williamson out.
Yeah.
I think when Kane Williamson comes to the crease, the Aussies will be really aggressive. Not so much by bowling short stuff and Yorkers and things like that. I think they'll be trying to be as patient and disciplined as they can, but they'll be really intent in the field. They'll be very vocal and try and put some pressure on him in that sense, and letting him know that if he gets out, then New Zealand are going to be in trouble.
Mike Hussey, Dan Vettori, thank you so much for joining us as we were building up to the big game on double-header Saturday, the second game, Australia taking on New Zealand.
Don't forget to like, share, subscribe and leave your comments in the comment section below. Click on the bell icon for notifications.